Welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here, presented by Go Chevrolet, online at GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Welcome in. We will have a very quick,
abridged version.
Spark notes.
Yeah. Just read the inside flap of the book. You're good.
Got it.
Hopefully you did more than that.
Yes. LSU Baseball over. We will give our thoughts. I got to cut out of here for a meeting this morning that we've been getting prepared for, and I will, if we have time, we may go this afternoon just in case we don't squeeze enough thoughts in here this morning. But if not, we'll have a brief Jordy Culotta show for you here on this Monday morning, reacting to LSU baseball and the Tigers. Their season coming to an end. Paul Mainieri's reign coming to an end.
If we go this afternoon, it's going to be so fucking awesome.
Yeah, it will.
It's going to be a celebration.
I like how you hesitated
great meeting.
before you dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah, I
I
thought
didn't
about
realize
it.
where we were.
Yeah.
It'll be great. LSU, Tennessee yesterday. We'll give our thoughts. That is really all the news right now. I mean, there's some NBA news out there. There's some football recruiting stuff that's out there. We do want to give a shout-out before we get started to all of our sponsors. Go Chevrolet, GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Our coffee is daily brewed down here in South Louisiana by Majestic Coffee. Remember, you can pick up your grounds online at delicioussips.com. As always, anybody who would be here via the phone line is compliments of Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Before we give our thoughts on LSU baseball, I want to give a shout-out to Dennis Shaver's top-ranked LSU men's track and field team as they secured the 2021 NC Outdoor Track and Field title on Friday. LSU won 5 individual events, including the 4x100 meter relay, as LSU picks up another national championship in track and field. I believe this is
awesome.
49
Oh my God.
for the
That's
program.
awesome.
I mean, just
Under the radar, dude.
one of the most
Yeah.
under the radar
Tennessee.
and most decorated programs. They could have a SEC storied type documentary on them when they were, I guess in a couple of years. But I mean, Dennis Shaver's now the coach. Pat Henry, who's the head coach at Texas A&M, he's really the guy that was kind of starting the pride in the program, and now he's running a successful program over at LSU or at Texas A&M. But Dennis Shaver has kept it up and obviously
Have you
kept
ever
it
been
moving.
in the indoor facility?
Yeah.
Every square inch is a banner. It's like
Yeah.
a national championship. Oh my God.
It's like the Celtics.
And you want to talk about, as far as facilities go, one of the most underwhelming
Yes.
as far as the success level goes. I mean,
It's no Oregon.
no.
I've never been in there. I've never
Oregon
seen
track.
the
But they'll
facility.
boat race you.
I mean, like obviously that you're from Mississippi, so like a lot of people that were from here spent a lot of.
Obviously.
But I mean, a lot of
What the hell is
that.
that supposed to mean?
I mean, a lot of people
Because I
from
haven't
here.
seen the track facility.
Because a lot of people from here would be there when they were kids. Be in
Oh,
the,
really?
In the,
To
in
watch?
the, in the just the
Ready more.
the field. I mean, in the field house. I mean, like we had like Skip Urban's baseball camp was in there when it had to move indoors. They would put Dale Brown's basketball. I mean, they just had all types of
So I
stuff
guess
in
I've
there.
like seen it in
growing up.
pictures, things like that.
As a kid, I mean, that place was just kind of like the backdrop of your childhood if you were, following LSU at the time, just because of all the stuff that they used to do in there. Now, I mean, when you hear people talk about it, I mean, just it is it's very old. It needs an update, and with the success level that LSU experiences in track and field, you would expect that would be a high priority for the LSU athletic administration. But nothing is as high of a priority right now than finding an LSU baseball head coach, as this will be an enormous hire for Scott Woodward. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. Everybody knows and has an understanding of the size and scope and weight of this LSU baseball job. And the Tigers over the weekend fell yesterday 15-6 to Tennessee. The wheels fell off yesterday midway through. It was a very competitive game on Friday, as LSU was able to battle and keep it tight and fall in a close bout on Friday, and went into yesterday with an opportunity to keep that series alive. And once the move was made from Landon Marceau to Will Helmers, it was over, and it was over quick. It turned into a home run derby. Tennessee's park was rocking, and LSU was on their way home with a 15-6 loss, and I don't know if it was that close.
Crackerjack bullshit baseball field.
Yes,
With
it
their-
is.
No, what was with the people? Like, they're like in a ditch, like watching
Yeah,
the people
yeah.
in their
Well, 'cause-
outfield. They're like down in a ditch. I was
So,
like, there's a tornado coming.
What I heard was they priced out all their fans. They
Yeah.
like the actual fans that
Poverty
go to the
fan
games.
base.
Yeah, they were like it's like $300 a ticket.
Yeah,
And so what
I
they
heard
did
that.
was like apparently it was too expensive. So the real fans were all outside and they were having a good
You
ass.
can't even
They were
see the
having a
game from
time
where
out
they
there,
were.
dude. It seemed like more fun to be outside of the stadium than inside of the
It
stadium.
did, but you
was.
couldn't even see what was going on unless you had a TV out there. It was like they were all down in this little ditch. I was like, what is happening?
They're lucky
That's a
Dylan
strange
Cruz didn't
spot.
kill somebody with that second home run he hit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Has it landed yet?
Oh my God! It
I
was
mean,
a
he
power
hit it to
outage.
the power park.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was.
Is that where they used to paint Lane Kiffin's name?
Oh, is that the Rock?
Remember the power station they always talk about in Knoxville, and they would go there and they would like paint on it when Lane
Yeah,
Kiffin
yeah.
was
And
there?
I think it's like the Rock.
Is
They
that
have like
it?
a Rock. I don't
That's where
know.
that was?
Dylan
I
Cruz
guess.
Well,
put a
it's
memory
Dylan
in
Cruz's
there.
place now.
Yeah, he owns that area code.
Coach, the one he hit in the second inning.
It was a
I
missile.
mean, to the deep center.
He had a good time.
He did.
That slide though.
Did you-
game one hurt?
Yes.
That's
it did.
stupid. Turf is dumb.
It is.
Get some dirt.
Gee, especially around the bases.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what
it's
I mean?
not that hard.
If you want to go turf infield,
Was it softball?
that's fine. But
Go-
I mean, you
do
got to
it-
be able to put the dirt down so you don't have situations like that.
Especially when it rains, you're sliding straight through it. Like he could have slid. Look, he was on a slip and slide. He could have slid 50 feet if he wanted to.
Didn't that happen to Bianco and Eugene?
Yes,
Didn't he
same
slide
thing. But
down?
he
Yeah,
said,
that's what we were
did he
talking
keep his
about
toe
turf
on?
He
Yeah.
did the same thing in the same game. He like kept his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so LSU baseball, a very underwhelming weekend for the Tigers as LSU had their chances. Here's the deal. You knew that they were going to have to strike up the magic to keep the season alive. You knew it was going to have to be really something monumental for this team to advance. It has not, this team in particular, had not put a weekend together all season long outside of last weekend. I mean, think about it. They hadn't put a 3-game set together all regular season long, and
Wait,
they
really?
do it. Yeah, I mean,
That was the best we've
realize
looked.
that.
Was last
Yeah.
weekend was the best LSU looked all year. Probably.
in a weekend.
And then did, like-
not even probably. I think that you can 100%
Definitively?
wholeheartedly say that LSU has not looked that good, that competitive, that confident than they did last weekend in that 4-game set.
I got on the hype train.
Sure. Well,
Saturday
I mean,
night, I was like, oh, we got this series.
it was tough not to get on the hype train after the way that they left
Eugene.
right? I mean, it felt like when you were watching that, there was going to be some epic come down when you were watching LSU have all this success and put together these runs, just because that's not who they were
They
this
just
year,
run on steam.
right? I mean, at some point, your identity is going to catch up with who you are, and you are going to be yourself, right? And I thought that was kind of what happened. I thought LSU really stretched it and pushed it on Friday night and tried to make it as competitive as possible and had a couple of windows there. And I really thought that looking back on it, pulling Mikhail Hilliard when he did was really kind of the pivot point of Friday.
It was the 5th inning, right?
Yeah,
Twice he went a little quick on the hook both times. I would say.
he was. Landon Marceau didn't have it yesterday.
Yeah.
You knew
I know,
that
but you let-
early.
yeah, but you let
you
your
want to just
guy-
ride him,
yeah.
right? I mean, at least you're saying in a game that could cost you your life, you want to go down with your best on there, even though he's not at his best, right? Because then you start looking at people behind him, and it turns into
The home run derby.
I don't know who I got.
right. I mean, it turns into pregame warmups. I mean, that was.
They were teeing off.
Whew.
God.
I mean, that was as I can't remember watching a team as eager to get to the batter's box as Tennessee was yesterday. I mean, they were swinging for Baton Rouge against LSU from the 5th through the 9th inning yesterday, and
Yeah, that was pretty much it. It felt like even though Marceau didn't have what like you would say like quality his best effort, I still would have liked to see him go out there and at least get to like what did you say they put him in the 3rd? Like third, he didn't even make it to like you at least get a quality start and get to the 5th. And like go out with your best power pitcher out there that you have. They brought Labus in and he kind of shut the door, but the game was over at that point.
yeah. So LSU season comes to an end. Paul Mainieri's run at LSU comes to an end. Paul Mainieri, after 36 seasons coaching college baseball, wakes up today for the first time in nearly 40 years with no team to coach,
What do you do?
Sad.
no park to go to.
What do you do?
Golf.
know.
I don't know.
Did y'all watch him? I mean, just like for the
Chiropractor.
last play of the game, just watch his face. I know he had sunglasses on, and then afterwards, like it was just the saddest thing watching him like walk back in the dugout.
That was his life.
I
That was
know.
his life.
I
coming to
know.
an
It's
end.
weird. Like,
I've gotten past the personal feelings on Mainieri on this. I felt sorry for him on just this part of his career a while ago because you could feel it coming,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you knew that if this wasn't going to be the last season, it was going to be next year. I mean, the game has caught up to him. The time is now for Mainieri to step away. And while it was a really good run and he represented LSU, the state of Louisiana, himself, his family, always with the utmost of class. I think that was one thing as an LSU fan you never had to concern yourself with was any types of illegal activity happening with the LSU baseball team and recruiting. There was never going to be any story that popped from the coaching standpoint that you were asking, what in the hell is going on?
That's true.
You rarely had any type of difficulty with his team, with his players. They were always very much well respected and well kept in line. And from Mainieri's standpoint, he ran a very, very uber successful program at LSU. Whether you want to critique that by the numbers, whether you want to critique that by postseason experiences, or whether you want to talk about success for just an overall baseball program after a 15-year plus run, Paul Mainieri had a hell of a career at LSU and overwhelmingly, and moreover, a just very successful college baseball
brought
coaching
Notre Dame
career.
to the College World Series.
Air
That-
Force, bro. I mean, he didn't bring him to Omaha, but I mean, he like brought pride to their baseball program. I mean, he did the same for Notre Dame. I mean, before getting them to Omaha, he really kind of introduced the sport as a viable option.
There was marketing and ticket sales.
Yes, I mean, it was very much a miniature version of what LSU and Skip Bertman was doing in the early 80s of just trying to build a lot like what Tony Vitello is doing right now at Tennessee. Anybody who watched those two games that comes away with any type of bitterness towards Vitello,
Oh, it was out too.
well, then you don't know what you're watching.
That's what I'm saying. I agree, but it seemed like they turned coat on him very quickly. Like the LSU contingent who wants okay, do you want the old guard or do you want the new guard? We've pretty much chased Paul Mainieri out of his job within the last 2 years, and then you see the up and coming head coach, which is what Vitello is, and that's what college sports are turning into. And then after you play against them, you get upset. Like,
Right.
do you want him or do you not?
I'm done
Like,
with
do you want to be
vanilla.
that type of baseball, or do you want to do the old man thing where you pull your pitcher in the third and your coach can't turn his neck in the dugout? Like, what do you want to go with college baseball?
Yeah.
Because this is a tipping point for LSU.
I agree. And if you look at Tony Vitello, and you
We're
are,
looking at Tony
if you are,
Vitello.
I'm telling you,
The ladies want him to come on
Paisan.
down to Baton Rouge.
Paisan.
Yo,
Hey, fills the uniform out great.
He does.
If you're looking at Tony Vitello and you're turned off,
Not
then
turned off.
it is very much going to be
a retread.
very much a retread. I mean, very much. It's,
Get the Pat Casey then.
the hold the ropers want
Bianco.
Mike Bianco, and Paul Mainieri's crew want Cliff Godwin. And I mean, going off of those two options, I like the younger, more appealing option would be Godwin there. But when you're just talking about an overall search for LSU baseball, I say it's time to get away from that mindset. And it's easier for me to say it because I'm not part of the fraternity. And I've got a ton of friends of mine and a ton of people that I respect as far as their opinion goes that are a part of that fraternity. Whether it's the old guard like Doug and Ronnie, or whether it's Paul Mainieri guys like Mikey Matuk and Buzzy Heidel. I mean, anybody that we talk to on this show, think about who we talked to last week. Mason Katz, Chris Reed. I mean, anybody that we talk to or anybody that you talk to that you put stock in what they say around this program, I would say most probably, has a tie to LSU baseball that you listen to. Hunt is an outlier. I know a lot of people put stock into what Hunt says about LSU baseball, and he's got no tie to the program from a playing standpoint, only that he's a part of the LSU Sports Radio Network. But overwhelmingly, anybody that talks about it within our market has played the sport for LSU, whether it was for Skip or whether it was for Mainieri. And all those guys feel like they have a strong voice in this. And one camp, Mainieri's side, is pulling for one name, and Skip Bertman's crew is pushing the hell out of another name. And if I'm Scott Woodward and I'm the power structure within LSU administration, I'm not choosing any of them. And not because I want to close the door on those voices, only because I believe it is time for a monumental shift in one of the most powerful programs in collegiate sports, where you understand what it looks like when you have guys that run it and have the vision of nostalgia, right? How much do we talk about the history of LSU baseball now within the first sentence when we describe them? How much do we look back when we talk about LSU baseball in present day when we describe them here in 2021? It's time to stop chasing the past.
It's a dangerous game. You're chasing the dragon.
You can't slay that dragon. It's sitting in its spot to be celebrated, and it will always be there. And I don't know if you'll ever recreate what LSU baseball is coming from and the success that they have experienced in the sport. I think the testament to that is teams like Tennessee beating you in super regionals, having to travel up to Eugene, Oregon to a top 16 seed and having to face a team like Gonzaga. I mean, teams that you don't rarely or ever hear of being competitive in baseball. You could point that lifeline back to over 75% of those schools and see 6 degrees of LSU somewhere, whether somebody brought in Skip Bertman to consult them or whether they just recreated the program after what Skip and Mainieri have done over the last 30 years. But it's not the giant that it once was. It will always have the cachet and the name on the hat, but LSU baseball needs to get back to being the power of LSU baseball, and in my opinion, the way you do that is stop chasing the past.
Something completely new.
It's something
You can only ride that wave for so long, and that's what they did. They tried to ride the momentum of what Skip Bertman built, and then it's like, okay, we can ride this thing out. We are LSU baseball, we're LSU baseball, but at some point it comes to a head, and you have to kind of change what the program is and the identity of who LSU baseball is.
Think about this example, and I'm going a million miles to make this example, but it's in sports, and it gives you an idea of new age athletes. Anthony Edwards, #1 draft pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. Out of Georgia. Spent 1 year in Athens, was the #1 pick in the NBA draft by the Timberwolves. There was discussion on Alex Rodriguez buying the Timberwolves. It looks like that's going to go through. When that stuff was being kicked around and talked about, Anthony Edwards, who's 19 years old, was asked about what he thinks about Alex Rodriguez. He responded, "Who?"
That was awesome.
You know what I mean? In today's age, athletes are not paying attention to what happened 5, 6 years ago, a decade ago, much less 25 years ago. So if you're trying to sell the up-and-coming top recruit on the hold the rope mentality of LSU baseball, while it is a fantastic story, and 90% of the people in that kid's life that are 35 and above would really give a damn about that, he could care less. He doesn't care at all. And if you think that's going to push and prod him to joining LSU's program, that ain't going to happen anymore, because Tony Vitello's walking in right behind LSU's old, tired speech about 1991 through 2009, and he's telling you what Tennessee's doing in 2021. And he's turning on the Super Regional when LSU showed up in a June weekend of 2021 summer, and they packed however many they had in that park, and they made it look electric. What can LSU compete with other than telling you that they have the intimidator in the right field wall?
Well, why would he leave Tennessee at this point?
Because LSU is LSU.
Build a dynasty.
Because if you are a college baseball coach and LSU baseball comes knocking, then you're listening. Mm-hmm. Because while in today's world, the nostalgia may not sell a recruit on coming to LSU in present day, it's still the letters. It's still the facilities. Mm-hmm. It's still the fan support. It's still in the league that is probably going to win it, the most competitive league in the sport. And it comes with a cachet that nobody else can offer. It's Alabama football, it's Kentucky basketball, it's LSU baseball. When you think about the three big sports on college campuses, those are the sports, those are the programs that dominate the discussion when you just talk about historical references in the Southeastern Conference. In football, you think Alabama. In basketball, you think Kentucky. In baseball, you think LSU. So if you're Tennessee's head coach and LSU picks up the phone and calls you, you're damn right you're listening. And if Tennessee wants to dangle $1.5 million and $30 million in upgrades to facilities, you say, here's $2 million and Alec Box Stadium.
And we got dirt.
Yes. The real stadium.
Like, to your point, Vitello, like, as much as he relates to the players and, like, he's this new age, he grew up with LSU being that era. Like, he grew up watching Skip Bertman coach. He saw what LSU baseball is. So it definitely holds something in his mind to where, like, that used to be a dynasty, and that was the place, if you wanted to be a head baseball coach, that's where you wanted to be. So he definitely still has that. I would imagine it's somewhere in his brain where he's like, LSU is the spot to be.
Hell yes.
Exactly. Yeah, because we talk about how he relates to the younger guys. We'd say, oh, he's younger. He's still 43. Mm-hmm. He watched the 90s. He saw all of it.
When he was coming up, when he was growing up in the sport, his dad, have you done your research on Vitello? You seen who this guy is? I mean, his dad is a 6-time state champion high school baseball coach in the state of Missouri. Taking a lot of those teams like Skip was coaching in 78 that had no business playing in a state title. Guy's just a coach. Comes from the family. It's in his bloodline. It's in his genes.
You can see by the passion he has about it.
Did you see what he did to Arkansas staff? Did you see what he did to Arkansas's program when he was on staff? I mean, if you want to pinpoint the rocket ship launch that Arkansas baseball has taken into this national respected stratosphere, you can really point back to the players that Tony Vitello was making and that was recruiting into Fayetteville as the launch point. I mean, Vitello is, you know who Vitello is? Vitello's Will Wade.
I just saw
Vitello is the guy that if he's yours, you absolutely love him.
Yes.
Will run through a wall for that guy. If he's not yours, you love to hate him, but you kind of like him.
You know, Vitello's the number 2 overall recruiter in college baseball.
Who's number 1?
I don't know.
I mean, who's better than that
guy? Dude, that guy's coming in your living room.
Because if he's walking into the living room, you know he's getting the mom. You heard her reaction.
He got the mom.
I mean, they're sitting up straight. They're listening. You know he's coming in there with some swagger, with some relatability.
That looks like he's 31.
Where he's going to be able to talk to you. He's going to be able to relate to you. He's going to be able to talk new age stuff with you. We've been pushing Vitello. I have here. I don't know where he lays in the pecking order of the job right now. I don't know what the job looks like as far as the names go. I've heard the same names that everybody else has heard.
Casey, Godwin, Vitello. You think we're still in that mix?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Godwin's
and Dan
there.
McDonald.
I don't know if I think that Pat Casey's name
is out.
Is out. It better be.
I think that was a good little smoke screen. We called it.
Vitello's there. I you know whose name I keep hearing is Corbin at Vanderbilt. And
Really?
I don't know why he would see. To me,
Who'd he leave?
if LSU's job is built around right now, kind of what you're selling, the nostalgia of it, and just kind of the overall weight of the job. To me, Vanderbilt's probably the best job in college baseball as far as the functionality of the program, the things that really and truly, the things you can get away with.
Scholarships.
The endowment.
The scholarships, the private money, the fact that he has the top 3 picks potentially on his campus. If he doesn't have the top 3, he's got 3 out of the top 8 on campus. I mean, that just doesn't happen in college baseball anymore. And at a position at pitching where we've only seen 2 schools do this. Florida and Vanderbilt have been the only 2 teams in the modern day of college baseball to be able to retain and recruit and retain these first-round draft pick arms. I mean, Leiter and Rocker aren't first-round draft pick arms. They're top 2 pick
You want to hear a
arms.
fact about how good that pitching is? The Cubs' average starting pitchers hit 91.8 miles per hour. The Vanderbilt pitchers hit 92.8.
Yeah, they got
throwing harder than
professional
MLB.
arms.
Yeah, I mean, they are beating you with a professional staff. And
I guess if you got any pushback from it, it would be that Corbin's very much a product of his environment, like of that success. Like anybody, it feels like anybody could waltz into Vanderbilt and do that job because of how it's set up to be successful with the endowment and the private money. It's very easy to get those guys not only on campus but to stay on campus because everybody's got a scholarly. Like that's the difference between. That's the hardest part about college baseball is getting people on campus because you have 8.5 scholarships and you're trying to fill out, a 50-man roster or a 25-man roster, whatever it may be. And that's
30, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah,
and that's the tough part. It's like, hey, you can come play baseball, but it's almost intramurals. Like if you don't have a scholarly, you have to sit and stay and pay your way.
Yeah, so I think that Vanderbilt is the best job in baseball. I don't know why Corbin would leave for anywhere, not just for LSU, for anywhere. I mean, if you want to be a college baseball coach, to me, you can get away with more and win more in Nashville than you can in any other spot because, quite frankly, and it's not their fault, they're taking advantage of rules that they have, but they're not playing by the same rules that everybody else is. They have private money that they can offer scholarships to. But now, listen, LSU has tops, and LSU doesn't have a competing school within the state that they have to go after, that they have to beat for guys. And right now, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Tennessee, they're all swimming around Louisiana's prospects. And a lot like football, they'll fish 1 or 2 out every now and then, mainly Mississippi State. But there needs to be a day where that wall is built, and where the pride is restored to LSU baseball in the sense of making it a modern day power. Forget the fact that you were a giant within the 90s and the early 2000s, and you will always be that. The Intimidator's not going anywhere. The national championship trophies aren't ever leaving the case. All those players that came through here that were so highly decorated and so highly thought about, really characters of our childhood or our adulthood or our kids' childhood or whatever it may be. All those people are still there. LSU baseball still has and always will have the historical reference, success, and accolades that it has today. But to me, it's time to get out of the fraternity. Go out and bring somebody in that makes sense in 2021 in just making your baseball program a powerhouse. And he doesn't have to have an LSU, Skip Bertman, Paul Mainieri, hold the rope, tie to him. Just doesn't have to be that. And I don't think that Scott Woodward's putting a lot of stock in that, but I think the people that are consulting Woodward do. Because, as we've always said, Woodward's a big game hunter, man. Mm-hmm. He's going after the biggest game out there. When we talk about Kevin O'Sullivan, the reason why they were so eager to get Sullivan, and I heard this from multiple sources, is because deep down, Skip was telling Woodward, he's the best coach and pitch in America. He's the best pitching coach in America. Go get him.
And once you get that blessing, it's on.
Yeah, you can't say, what do you know?
I mean, I was told that they had to tell Woodward no twice at the Board of Supervisor level. Like after they denied him publicly, he said, hey, can I get a private conversation in the back? And kind of went back there.
Let's weather the storm.
I'll make sure
we're all in the up and up.
With the BS. It ain't happening, Scott. Who you got next?
Damn. Has that ever happened to him, you think?
I doubt it.
And that's,
not here.
I mean, that's some of the
not here.
No, and that's some of the LSU BS that comes with it because people get very involved with the LSU hires and because of what LSU is and what it means to everybody. That Board of Supervisors is it's almost like helicopter parents in a sense where they're very much looking over your shoulder. They don't really let you do the job the way you want to because it means so much to people here. LSU means so much to the Board of Supervisors and it's their baby. And so, I'm sure he didn't have to deal with that at Texas A&M. They're like, stroke the check.
Yeah.
Deal with it. we'll deal with the pushback later.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting. I think that this deal gets done pretty quick. I think it's too big of a job to be open or vacant for an extended amount of time. And when I say an extended amount of time, I mean over a week. I think that this job is sealed by Monday.
Even if somebody's still coaching?
Yes.
Under the table.
Wow.
Yeah, under the table. It doesn't have to. In publicly doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I know it matters for us, and we want to make sure that whenever it pops, that we want to be first, and people want to be talking about it. But if you want to get this deal done correctly, it needs to be timely, and from the way that Woodward operates, I'd imagine that's what it is. You know what I mean? He's always been able to have his candidates
lined up,
to have his guys lined up. Now it seems like he's going down the list, so I don't know who, where, or when the play will be made. But there's a couple of names on that list that we keep hearing, right? So I mean, there's a lot of smoke around Mike Bianco.
I just don't see that.
Me either. There's a lot of smoke around McDonald, whatever.
Dan.
McDowell.
Coach Dan.
Hire him and I'll know his name.
I learned a lot about Vitello over a weekend. I know about his dad. But don't you think LSU baseball, like, they're playing a very dangerous game of like falling into almost being irrelevant if you don't make this hire correctly? Because you saw, like, when you look back at the history of college baseball, it was LSU and USC back in the day with like Mark Pryor and all of those 90s teams. They were jockeying for who had the most national championships, like, historically. And now USC is not very relevant in baseball anymore, and you saw what happened to them in football in the same way. Like, this is I don't know if people realize. I think they do, because there's a lot of talk about the LSU baseball hire. But if you don't get this one right, it could be a process where we're almost already fading a little bit, it seems like. LSU baseball, like, we want it to be a thing, but there's times when it's not. Like you said, we're traveling to Eugene. We're not hosting super regionals. So this is a tipping point for LSU baseball. If they make the right hire, it goes back to the stratosphere where LSU baseball is supposed to be.
You need a jump start.
Right.
I mean, you're moving down the street. You're moving down
Kicking
the road.
the can.
You're keeping up with the pack, but you're slowly falling behind, right? I mean, you even saw it yesterday or this weekend versus Tennessee. I mean, you are a coaching move away from being run out. I mean, that's kind of where your program is. You can fight and you can keep up and you can compete. But
you can tell that they have the talent.
If you don't get one little move right, the game's going to be busted open. And that's where they felt like they've been for the last couple of seasons. LSU has usually been the dictator of the environment, the controller of the atmosphere, the one that set the tempo, the pace, the mood for the weekend. LSU has not been that for, it feels like, a while.
Are you guys...
And a while at LSU baseball is simply over a year, right? I mean, it's
but
not.
Last year wasn't like a real year too, so that like plays into it.
Last couple of competitive
probably
seasons,
helped him.
It did. It absolutely helped him. I mean, there was nobody that benefited on LSU's campus more than COVID, or nobody benefited from COVID more than Paul Mainieri did.
And nobody benefited less than Ed Orgeron.
Yes.
True.
But we need a little boob job. We just need a little lift.
Yeah,
like we
just
just
a
need a
little
little John Stone Spiller shot. We're good.
Just a little upgrade. I mean,
if it were Vitello, and like you said, like by Monday or whatever you said, that like that.
If it's
might come
Vitello,
out.
it's probably already done.
But no one will know that. I mean, surely that's not going to come out while they're at Omaha, right? I mean, wouldn't that be awful for the team, for Tennessee?
It would be tough to keep that
under wraps.
Super under wraps.
It would be really tough. Like it would leak out, right?
Yeah. But then you're very much in the scenario that LSU baseball was. Then you're playing like, let's win one for
that's true.
the guy on the way out. You
Yeah.
could spin it a different way. Like if you're Tennessee PR, where you're like, all right, let's get Vitello one on the way out. Like, thank you so much for what you did. Look at what you've created here.
Yeah.
And then you just beat the hell out of LSU. Like, all right, y'all gonna have him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you handle that from Tennessee standpoint.
I mean, it's a body blow.
I think that LSU is allowing Vitello to handle the PR on this thing if they were to hire him, right? Like, do you want us to announce it, or do you want to wait till your season's over?
And he seems like the guy that would just say it. He's a a little bit of a loose cannon, which I like.
Yes.
He says whatever's on his mind.
It's Italian, bro.
No more
brash.
Yeah, I'll
Got
apologize
some
tomorrow.
confidence, Yes, he is very much a,
Are y'all still mad?
apologize later. Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm still in trouble.
So I hope it's Vitello, just from the sense of I want LSU baseball to hire the best.
I want that feeling.
I think that's who you are. If you want to be the giant that you claim to be, right? If you want to be this job that, you know, the inner workings, the high level of the fraternity believe that nobody in their right mind could tell LSU baseball no. Well, then have that mentality. Mike Bianco's not going to tell you no. He'd walk to this job. He told you that in 97 when he left. I mean, go out there and get the best college baseball coach alive. That should be your list. Who is the best breathing coach that would take this gig? I want to talk to him today. And if he says no, get me the second best alive. And we shouldn't have to get too far down the list. If you start talking to young, hungry, motivated, college baseball program builders, then this thing should be over pretty quick. Hey, I'm offering you the LSU job.
Boom.
With a $2 million price tag attached to it. With full autonomy to bring in any staff you want and open to hearing ideas on how we can upgrade anything around the program that you see fit. Do you want the job? Hell yeah, I want the job. Well, then let's make this thing happen. I mean, that's what the list should be. Not playing favors to past alumni and boosters and people around that you feel like you got to scratch their back, so you're doing favors for. And I know that's how the game works, man. I know once you get to that level of negotiation and that amount of money and those types of names that there are people scratching one another's backs. Mm-hmm. But with the LSU baseball job being vacant and the options that you really could go out there and speak with, go for the best, man. Don't go for some frat member. Don't go for the safe hire. Don't go for somebody that makes the large majority of the people out there that care happy. Go find the best cat for the gig and get him on campus.
I don't think people care if you're winning. Screw the fraternity if you're winning.
Yeah, you'll get in that fraternity real quick.
Yeah.
And if you're Vitello, he just watched that roster and he saw the studs that LSU has for the next 3 years. And dude, even when they interviewed him in the dugout, he was talking about Cruz like, that dude's a freak.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even know what to do to him. Like, he tried to do a little 3-0, get me over a fastball, and Cruz hit it to the moon.
Yeah.
Like, he's seeing the talent on that roster. He's like, he wasn't looking away. You know, he wasn't like, I don't want to talk about LSU baseball. It's about Tennessee. Like, that would have been an easy thing to say. Instead, he was like kind of like drooling at the mouth a little bit, thinking about the prospect of that roster and what he could do at LSU is what it seemed like if you want to look into it.
Yeah, no, I think that, look, man, I think that we would be nuts if anybody would discount the interest of Tony Vitello to the LSU job. That cat is interested. Mm-hmm. If LSU is talking and they are allowing
We're still hot.
him, yes, I mean, no doubt, especially to a college baseball coach, right? To the fan base, it feels stale. To people that have been watching for the last couple of seasons, it looks old. You want to change. But to people out there, they know who it is. They know who you are. They know what you're offering. They know what potentially, if they get it right again, which it's right there when you're looking at the roster, they're a recruiting class away from being a top 10 program again.
Well, dude, you just saw it. We were in the supers, and we thought this year was an absolute bust.
Yeah.
And then you see us, we're in a super regional, and we're a couple of pitches away from going one up on Tennessee. And in a super regional at Tennessee. Like LSU baseball, like you said, they're not far away. It's just those little minute things that what a baseball coach does.
You go out there and you get Vitello.
You just do it.
And you got Will Wade on campus.
And you got Kim Mulkey on campus.
I mean,
Scott Woodward, he earned his paycheck.
But that's what he said he was going to do. I mean, remember when we were acting surprised here when we had him on about Mulkey. I mean, he was like, fellas,
it's
people,
LSU.
Slow down. This is what you should expect. This is what we're going to continue to do, speaking from LSU's standpoint, when Woodward is here. I mean, they're going to go out and talk to the best. They are going to attract the best, and they're going to pay for the best, which is why I believe that Woodward's got something going on underneath the radar, bro. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, these names that are being talked about that are so easy to access for everybody, not the play.
He probably has multiple yeses.
Maybe.
And then you get to pick. I mean, that's not that far fetched to have. Do you extend the job? This is out of my depth, but do you extend the job to multiple people? Then you pick the best, right? You would imagine that McDonald has an offer, that the other coaches have offers, that it's like, all right, now it's our turn to pick. That's what you do when you hire somebody, right? You get yeses, and then you go, what's you? We're not waiting. We're not asking them to come to us. We're going to get you.
Well, I don't think you're offering somebody the job, them telling you yes, and then you saying never mind.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, if they're in that, like, they're in the same arena where, like, they all would take it. Like, you don't need, like, not a formal offer, but, like, we would probably have a yes, and a yes. Like, and I'd imagine that, like, they've had negotiations where, like, we could probably get it.
Like if I were to give you a contract,
I think you have an understanding and a feeling of who you believe you can get at this point. What conversations are real?
Right. It's more than a belief, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Like, it's like once we extend this thing, he's signing it.
So I think that this happens pretty quick. LSU baseball season comes to an end. I have to cut out of here just for something that's going on with me this morning. The crew is going to keep it going. They'll continue to talk a little bit about this baseball gig, and as well as what else was happening in sports this weekend. There wasn't too much out here in South Louisiana that people were paying attention to outside of baseball. There were a couple of recruiting get-togethers for LSU football. Had another camp over the weekend. Walker Howard and some of those five-star guys were traveling over to Houston for a big camp over the weekend. That had a lot of people following and talking about. But for the most part, the LSU baseball conversation has dominated the landscape here and will continue to do that until this job gets filled, just because of the passion for the people down here in this part of the world around that game and around that sport. So,
thank you, Paul.
Yes, and so much. Thank you, Paul. I mean, that was a great run, fun to watch, great teams, great representative. Was always first class in everything. I thought that the program, in the way that it was run under his direction, but it's time for a change. I mean, the last 2 months we've talked about it. I mean, really the way that we discussed it was kind of the way that it went down. I mean, Mainieri even said in his press conference and leaving and stepping away, whether it was the pain that he's going through health-wise or whether, the age and the game just moving a little fast, it's passed him by. And it's time for somebody else to get in here and have a chance at running this thing. And I don't understand why when you hear somebody at his age tell you that, he's lost a lot of the steam for it, while you would even be hunting or fishing in the same grounds that has that type of point to it. Why would you even be talking to somebody 60 years old?
I've caught that fish before.
I mean, Pat Casey is highly decorated and probably a great guy, but it's not his time for LSU baseball. It's passed a long time ago. A Pat Casey hire, to me, is somebody like a smaller school trying to create a buzz. Pat Casey would be a good hire to me at Missouri or at Kentucky or at some of these schools off the map, off the radar, that need a little bit of a shot of life, an attention grabber. LSU baseball rolls out of bed and gets front page news.
Look at what we're doing right now.
They get headline news. You don't have to go out there and create some hire and create some guy to come back in here and pump life into the program. That's not the play. Go find the best cat for the gig. Who's the best coach in college baseball? Give me that list. That's who I'm going to talk to. Give me the top 3 college baseball coaches in the country right now. Check them off. 1, 2, 3. Shouldn't be able to get too far down that list without somebody telling you yes.
Shouldn't get the 5, I'll tell you that.
Shouldn't get to 3.
They probably don't make the list that long. That's what I'm saying. It's probably 3, dude. You if you have to get to 5, like we're asking Paul to come back.
We know good chiropractor, Paul.
Yes.
Pop that neck.
All right,
He looks so uncomfortable, dude.
Y'all keep it. He does. He does.
He looks like he's ready.
In pain.
Yes, I'm saying he looks like he physically looks uncomfortable.
He definitely does. All right, have a great Monday. Hopefully we have time this afternoon to get back in here and talk a little bit with you. But y'all keep it going. Remember, daily we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet online, GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet got brand new selections over there in in Laplace. They can also help you out with used car over here at Go Express Auto Sales. Everything's online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet, the proud supporter here of the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, I'll be back with you at some point either today or tomorrow morning. The crew will keep it rolling here. Appreciate you listening on YouTube, Facebook, and JordyCulottaShow.com. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at JordyCulottashow.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at JordyCulottashow.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at JordyCulottashow.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at JordyCulottashow.com to learn more.
Well, we're back for
We're
the
back.
final.
Yeah, who wants to host this thing, dude?
I'll take the ropes.
Noah's a
Welcome
Noah.
back
the
to the
road.
Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you daily by Go Chevrolet.
There you go, Noah.
There you go, dude. That's all it takes.
We need to give a shout out to our water too, because it's hot in here, y'all.
Yeah.
We did True Blue Water,
I think-
TRUBLUE-water.com, and they are keeping us hydrated.
That's how many electrolyte packs we
I know,
have.
dude. I told you we
We
knocked
are-
them all out. We gotta get them back.
Low on my highs or high highs. We still don't have any AC.
That's what I was saying. I think we need to make one
situation.
more
We're making one more
plea
push. Does
for
anybody
some air
want to come
conditioning
help
because
us
we are
with our-
dying.
Please help us.
Just our little old
Air conditioner
windows. I don't know. Could we put a camera on our AC situation and just let people see how dire the circumstance really
Yeah,
is?
man, dude,
up
look at
in
that.
Here? I feel
Pretty.
like people would be frightened.
I mean,
if
it's
they really
terrible.
knew.
Come on, you're hurting the property value showing that.
Like, what are we breathing in?
Yeah,
now.
asbestos.
Yeah, I was about to say
Asbestos.
Something like that.
asbestos, yeah.
Long.
So I guess we can move on from baseball into the college football playoff, y'all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gives
'cause-
Mississippi State a chance to make it.
Get State in there.
Y'all are so funny.
Give them that 12
But
seed.
seriously.
Yeah, well, and I
Yeah.
think that's like there's obviously two sides of the argument to this thing. It seems like a money grab on like the outlook of it is, look, there's 12 teams that are out there. Like they want to get the Pac-12 back involved. They want to keep the Big Ten involved. They want
Totally.
teams like Penn State involved, and that's what it does. But if you're LSU, if you're Mississippi State, we're not in it every year.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I don't know how much it cheapens the regular season, which is I think the biggest pushback.
I think it cheapens it
You do?
because the last real week, regular season week, is you play your rival, and the season is on the line. And I mean, we're not Alabama fans, any stretch of the mean, but even like the Iron Bowl, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing someone play spoil or say. Even this year, Texas A&M will be a very good team. They'll probably be in the college football playoff contention. Hopefully, if we have great quarterback play. The same could be said for us, but if we're not going to be in the Final Four, you still have the chance to play spoiler. And what changes college football from the NFL is every single game actually matters. Most of that was with the BCS and the way they formatted it, and the college football playoff kind of helped with it, adding 2 more teams. But that's what gives you college football. And you're not beating the problem. Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney are still going to be in there. Ryan Day is still going to be in there. I think the biggest winner is Jim Harbaugh because he could probably go to the college football playoffs without ever beating Ohio State.
And I think what it really is, we're more of a product of our environment, of what we're used to watching. So when you say, like, the NFL, we're used to the NFL playoffs. Like, you can get in at 9-7 and play spoiler, but you're used to seeing that. Like, when Seattle beat the Saints, and the Saints have to go to Seattle, a 9-7 team, just because we didn't win our division. But we're used to seeing things like that because we've been conditioned to watch those, like, to watch the NFL playoffs play out like that. So I think it'll take some time, but in 3 years, we're going to be like, why wasn't it 12 the entire time?
Right.
Like, we'll
Say
get
two.
used to it, you know?
They want to keep up with March Madness. They see what happens with March Madness where you have these teams. But in football's a completely different game. Like basketball, you're going to have an upset here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Football, Alabama's not going to lose to Coastal Carolina.
Carolina, no.
Like it's not going to happen. You might see an upset from like maybe an 8 seed will sneak in and then play well but it's not going to be like basketball.
They're not going to make a deep run.
It's not going to. There's not going to be many Cinderella stories, and if there is, it's going to be because a team like LSU maybe dropped a couple games during the regular season and sneaks in at like 10, and makes a little run because they're actually built like that.
And you could have said the same thing for the 2019 LSU team. Like,
Right.
you saw them get better throughout the year, and that's probably what this is. It's a chance for teams. If you drop one early, that's the worst thing about college football because you lose interest if you drop. Like, say LSU loses to UCLA the first game of the year. There's no interest. Like, the interest is still there, but it's not at the same amount. But if you bring this playoff in and it's like we can still get in, like I don't see it necessarily cheapening the regular season. I know what you mean, Jack, but if you still have a chance to play for something, like to play for a playoff spot, and you're like at 9-3, and you're like, oh shit, I still want to go to the game because this could mean this is a chance to get into the playoff as opposed to we're out. Like once you lose 2 games, now you're like the season is done, and then people start opting out. This is a way to keep people involved and interested.
Retention.
Well, what about Notre Dame, though?
Baseball? That's what you should be worried about.
Yeah, those chrome helmets.
No, but that's a good point
Notre
because
Dame for football, for
because
college football.
isn't it they're taking in like all of your, if you're a conference champion, then you get an automatic bid.
right.
And
Yeah.
Notre Dame is not in a
And
conference.
They gotta
independent.
go to
They're
So
gonna
what
have to
happens?
get an ACC.
They were last year, weren't they?
Yeah,
Didn't
they're
they
gonna
play a
just
football
they're just gonna
season?
have to do that.
Why are they independent? What is the because they can get their own TV contract?
Yeah, back in the day,
NBC?
Yeah.
they had their own contract with NBC, so they like broke off originally, and they were the only team that had the cachet to be able to pull this off because Notre Dame in the 80s was like the biggest draw in sports, and now it's not that anymore, but they're still claiming independent, and it's turning out
They're
to
just
not be
gonna-
the greatest thing
They're
for
just
them.
gonna be in
yeah.
the ACC.
Yeah,
But-
which is good for. I think that's good
I think
for college
that's what
football.
it needed to
Really
happen
good
for the
for that
past couple
conference.
years, anyways.
Someone to challenge Clemson.
Right. At least it gives them a game. But like you said, if we move to this format, it's not really going to matter if you drop one early. And that's what the biggest thing about college football is every game mattered so much.
Right.
But I think if you look at it from like a broader landscape, it's going to be good for the game because now when you play Arkansas at night and you're LSU and you're 9-2 and you're like, oh, I really wouldn't Like, I don't know if the fan base would be into it, but now it's like, dude, we're playing for a playoff spot, a home playoff game after this.
Right.
Like, it changes
Well, you
the
can say
entire way that the season lasts.
Same thing when there's 4. It's like, we can't lose this game.
Yeah.
God forbid we lose to Arkansas. There it goes. We lose a trap game. My other question is, what's the new measuring stick of success? Right now, it's college football playoffs or bust. You look at Texas A&M, and it's like, you had a phenomenal season. You didn't get in, and it's just like, well, that season was terrible. You didn't get in the college football playoff.
I think it would probably still be making that top 4, like
It's still
getting
top
into the
4.
12, but making it to that final 4, kind of like how basketball is. Like,
Yes.
if you really don't make the final 4, unless like if you're a legit team, like if Duke doesn't make the final 4, they look at it as a failure.
It's a
of the
failure,
season.
without a doubt.
You lose me at 12. You could talk to me at 6.
I was thinking 8.
Skipped
I
right
thought
over
8.
that. What happened?
I thought 8 was the way to go.
It has to be that. Some of the Pac-12, because I know they try to just sign a new TV deal, and it's an absolute disaster right now.
The Pac-12.
Yeah, they're trying to do the streaming, and they're trying to market what they do with the ACC network and SEC. No one's been able to get the SEC. The ACC network is still not.
The
even
SEC
there yet.
network is it just means more.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Because every sport, you've got teams that are competitive, and not every other conference has that.
Right.
Like that. You look at the NCAA tournament for baseball. There's like 8 SEC teams in it,
Yeah,
and they're all
Yeah.
competing.
And you look at March Madness last year, like
It's the
it
same-
was
yeah.
SEC is making a play in every major sport. To
At
where
first, it was just football, and a couple
and
baseball
it has
teams.
trickled down
And so
into
now it's
absolutely.
everywhere.
SC's a power player in all
Each
of
school
them.
gets around 20 to 25 million just from the network
Right.
to additional spending revenue.
And you see the Pac-12 struggling to try to keep up. They were to the point where they were playing games in the
the morning, at like
they were
8
trying to
a.m.
like find a
Slot.
window.
Find a slot.
Like, will people watch this? Like, no, we're not awake yet, but we'll get there. Like, it's not the worst idea in the
Yeah.
world, but this is the reason that they're moving to 12. Is to get these teams involved and to be like, all right. USC still has cachet
Right.
in the college football like landscape. That's still a team. UCLA is a team. Like, these are brand names that people recognize, and
Yeah,
it's
the
just a
Pac-12
way to
has
keep them
teams.
involved.
Who does the Pac-12 have? It's Oregon.
Oregon and USC, but like the fact,
Utah. Hey,
Utah.
almost,
Utah.
they almost went to the college
The
football
Utes.
playoff.
but that's what they're trying. They're
Right.
trying to avoid them like falling out of relevancy because these teams people still would watch. They want to, and it's turned into how do we keep these names relevant? How do we keep them into the playoff? Like that's what they're trying to do is to keep these teams involved because they're money makers at the end of the day. Like people want. USC should be a brand name, and it was.
Yeah.
And so they can very easily fall back into that if you have the 12-team playoff where they're still playing for something. People will watch and gamble on it.
Yeah.
So-
But I thought we had more time, like 6 and 8. Like I thought this was all up for discussion. All of a sudden, it's like, well, it's 12.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
It's 12.
It,
like
it kind of looks like it was solved.
been decided.
Yeah.
decided a long time
I
ago.
know,
Like,
it's-
they were just kind of
They
sprinkling
just
out
rolled those
just to
plans
let you
out,
know,
like,
hey,
oh,
yeah, it's 12.
yes.
And I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you wanted to do only like competitively, 6 or 8 makes the most sense. Like
Right.
these are the best teams. But if you're gonna do a playoff, do a playoff.
Well, and the thing is, people are going to watch it.
Right.
So do as many games as you
Yeah.
want because you're going to make money off of it. You're going to make
mean,
a lot of money.
Hey, at the end of the day, I'm gonna watch it.
Right.
I'm gonna bet on it.
No matter
We're
who's
gonna talk
playing.
about it.
I'll watch the 11 and 12 play-in game. Like,
Yeah,
people are going to watch
if
it.
you brand it correctly and do it
Right.
like even if you want to give it like a bowl game name, because that was the old thing, right? People were concerned about, is the Orange Bowl still the Orange Bowl? Like
Yeah.
they were concerned about
Right.
going to these destinations. But the way you watch things and streaming has changed everything to where people will find it no matter what. Like it's not all about live television anymore. So
Right.
you can still brand them with like the Orange Bowl or however you want to
BCS
do
was
it.
so stupid.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, it was
I
awesome.
did love the trophy. Bring back the BCS.
Oh, the
little
little
crystal ball.
got to
Yeah.
come back, yeah.
Does this affect bowl games at all, though? Is that a dumb question?
Yeah.
I feel like the like you know how the playoff they took what was it 3 bowl games?
Right, that's what
Two?
they'll do again. That's what I'm
just
saying
do.
about the branding
They'll just have
aspect of
this-
it. They'll
yeah.
brand it as, I guess, a playoff game. Like it could be the Orange Bowl, but the big money maker here, or at least the coolest draw for me, is teams hosting a playoff game at
their
instead of a
stadium.
neutral site. It's
Right.
at like it's a home game if you're the higher seed.
like
Like
that.
if you have to come to Death Valley for a night game
Oh.
and you're like 8 versus 12 seed, that's a monster matchup. And don't tell me that there's not everybody would be lined up to go see that thing.
Yeah.
Like
You
could
got me
say,
picturing
yeah,
it like that.
you can't,
Stadium
yeah.
heat.
Like if you think a regular season game is fun, dude, imagine like a playoff game where
Right.
the atmosphere is heightened to the point where like, oh
It's
shit, I can
Bama-like.
tell. Yes, everything's gonna,
So
it's
that's
gonna
a for
be
sure
another.
thing.
Yes,
They're not going to be on a neutral site. They wouldn't be played in a neutral
no,
site.
like the first round games, the top 4 seeds get a bye, and then the next round they will have like if you're the higher seed, you play at home, and then it'll move into those neutral site
Okay.
games after that.
Okay.
How do you think they fix the other bowl games? I think it's such a problem. Like, say if you play like Wake Forest or something like that, like a mid-major football school, and you're playing in like the Flint, Michigan Bowl against like Tulsa or something. It's just like no one wants to watch that.
People,
It's like,
if you put it on TV, people will find it. Like
Yeah.
that's what college football is when it gets to that point in the year, because there's not really a whole lot going on. So you'll watch the Meineke Car Care Bowl just because it's
Right.
on TV.
Yeah.
Like,
So
you don't,
that one
yeah,
'cause you
The
see
tax
it.
yeah,
Slayer
you don't
Bowl.
really give a shit. But
The
you're like,
inde-
yeah, I'll
the
watch it.
Independence Bowl.
Yeah, like,
Petersburg Bowl.
yeah, I'll go watch Iowa play again.
Right,
Like I'll
right.
go see a left-handed
I've been in
quarterback.
that bowl.
My only thing with bowls like that is just there's no passion. Like, I just feel like
Oh,
it's
no,
like,
I mean-
it's just
Yeah.
an exhibition.
LSU's been in those games. We've
Yeah.
played at
Played
those.
Notre
Like,
Dame.
yeah, exactly. We've played at those games where like I don't give a shit, but I give it.
Music
Like I'm gonna
City.
watch it, but I'm
Yeah.
not surprised that
Right.
we're losing. Like the team doesn't give a shit about the game. Like we're just here.
Right. Well,
So-
and they get the views because we're not going to be invested in the game, but turn it on,
Background.
eat our dinner while it's playing. They get the
They
views,
bring in
they
the
get the
money.
money. So
And yeah, and I think that's what they're trying to avoid, because they're like with this playoff, it stops kids from opting out like we saw this year. If you still have a chance to play for a playoff spot,
Right.
you're 100% like you can't. Would be the you quit on your team argument, because
no more-
like if you're still playing for a spot in a playoff, that's way different than Jamar Chase opting out or Terrace Marshall opting out after 6 games. Like,
Right.
yeah, dude, the season's over. I don't like good. Go
Yeah.
do what you need to do. Go to the NFL. But if you have this playoff and you quit, then it would be a little bit bizarre, because those bowl games don't mean anything.
Right.
Oh,
If
right.
you're
You see
8-4 and
you
it's
get a
like
cool
this-
backpack.
yeah, you get a PlayStation 5 and you walk out. Like that's the whole
Right.
that's the whole bit.
Walker Howell would be there.
we
Yeah,
already have
exactly.
PlayStation 5. We're already covered.
We got the plug on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, we're covered.
Yeah, we do. I wanted to bring up one more thing when we were talking baseball. How do we? Because I've been watching so much just college baseball with Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss throughout the season. They are just absolutely electric. The box is a morgue.
I know, and I think that's the bigger like.
I
I
want
think
someone to talk about that. If they get hired, bring it like that. Like the new kids on the block.
look at
It's
Tennessee.
fun.
Look at what
Yeah,
Tennessee
look at
was.
what
Yeah.
Tennessee's do. Their fans might piss us off, but
At least they were involved,
Wouldn't we
dude.
love to be them?
Right,
Like,
that's what it really was. Like
Right.
there was a lot of shade being thrown at Tennessee, but it just seems like we're not the cool kids at the
Yeah.
party anymore.
No.
Like the box used to be like the place to be, and now we don't even like. Nobody wants to come to that party anymore because it's
Yeah.
not any fun. Like once they made the renovations, it kind of changed of how you perceived LSU baseball. It's very much stuffy, and you see all these other college environments that are rocking.
Yeah,
like
I mean-
Tennessee looked like a blast. Duty
Arkansas?
Noble was a blast. Arkansas looked like a movie.
Yeah.
Like so, all of these things.
You hear the little hog chant
Yes.
they do?
And
Right.
they, I mean, they lost, but
Cheer.
it's just I think if you bring it, and I think that's part of trying to bring in a new coach. You almost rebrand the
Right.
entire baseball team.
That's the Vitello argument. You bring him in, not only does it hype up
Something
your
new.
players, wakes up the fans. I mean,
The
you see him.
moms.
You see, yeah, the moms. You see
The
him.
moms have awoken.
You see him running through the stands, high fiving the like. Imagine that in the box.
right.
and then-
It-
But I
it's
mean,
something
it
that you
was
can't
like
even
that,
picture.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, it
And
used
when-
to be like that. It
when
used to
you
used
say-
That's
to
what it
have
used to- yeah.
victory laps and people running into the stadium and like into the crowd. But everything is like it's gotten so to the point of like
Formal.
yeah, it's so formal. It's almost like
But you're saying
this is
that
not
was
fun.
the renovate, like after the renovations, it became more formal?
Yeah, just because of
Why
how
though?
nice it was, it seemed like people were.
Oh.
It's like when you get, it's like
Right.
when you go to a place that's too nice, you don't knock anything over,
Yeah.
and like that's kind of how we treated it. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be in this house, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so I think it, but now that it's been, if you bring in a new like somebody else that
Regime.
buys the house and wants to make it like fun, buy like
Right.
build a pool out back, then
Yeah.
the house is fun again.
Right.
So that's what they need to do. And like if Vitello hopped in, Tiger, like if he hopped in Alex Box fans, they
Right.
would be like, oh, what are you doing in here?
Yeah.
Like it would scare them.
Yeah.
But if he brings that energy and changes
Right.
it up to the point where
get the
Yeah, get the-
students on the first
exactly.
baseline.
What are we doing?
Like the students need to be on the first
I
baseline.
like right field because you can heckle.
Yeah.
They were heckling the first base, and then you have Vitello jumping into the
Right.
student section, like into the net, giving them with the let them go,
Yeah,
and like
I mean,
getting
like-
everybody excited. That's
Imagine
what
if
Yeah.
Paul Mainieri did that.
that's what I'm saying. The dude can't
Right.
even breathe.
Yeah.
Like he's the stiffest man of all time. Like
I just wanna
like we said,
crack
thank
his
you,
neck.
Paul.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did it, and it was great to have you here. And you did a great job of holding the rope. But it's time to like
time to
not
change.
retread the tire. It's time to get a whole new car.
right.
Was he ever like energized?
No, he just
ever?
did. That's
He was
it
never the big energy guy.
Okay.
And that's what LSU baseball was. Though, is like this. It's a managerial job. It's almost like Major League Baseball, where you
Right.
go and put the hat on, and it's like religious experience.
Yeah.
As opposed to what Vitello's doing, which is like this is a GD party, dude. Like I don't
Right.
know why y'all are doing it this way.
Right.
So if he comes in, it would be. I mean, you saw it this weekend. They didn't like the way he was coaching his team. He didn't like the way
I
that
did.
Tennessee
I
acted, and get with it or get lost. Because if you're going to stick in this old way, dude,
Right.
LSU baseball will be irrelevant.
Yeah, no,
I
I
don't
mean,
think that'll ever happen. LSU baseball being irrelevant. I mean, they're always going to be great.
No,
Regardless.
but it's that mindset
like
that
Nebraska football.
yeah, it
I mean,
happens.
they
USC
used to be
football.
amazing.
No, that is
Used to be
weird to me,
great,
too.
and then now they're just like nothing.
And they still
Nothing.
show up.
It can't
They
happen.
still- yeah.
Like you can't rest on your laurels in this college
Yeah.
baseball where things are changing. Like Jordy said with the Will Wade hire, LSU basketball was nothing. Now look at it. Like
Yeah.
we went off the Dale Brown era and we rode that wave forever until the point where it cascaded into the sand and then there's no LSU basketball
Right.
anymore. Like we were
Nothing at all.
irrelevant. And then
Right.
you make a big splash hire, a young and up and coming guy, and you build the program back to what it can be because the people here are foaming at the mouth for athletics. Like
Right.
they
It doesn't
love.
matter
It
the
doesn't matter
sport.
what we go to
The
gymnastics.
Yeah.
GD Rose, she said, like,
Yeah.
people, hey,
They
if it's a
come-
good product, they'll come.
They want to
Exactly.
watch.
So I think that's what it's time to. If you are the brass at LSU and you're like nervous about pulling, like it's easy to do the Mike Bianco hire and you would get pushback,
don't
but
do that.
that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
the easy thing to do, but that's the old LSU way. Scott
Yeah.
Woodward comes in here with a completely different mindset to go get
Right.
the big dog, and I think Vitello is the new age of what's coming up. If you miss on this, it's like you missed on Apple stock. Like this
Yeah.
is the
It's
chance to buy.
necessary.
Yes,
It's necessary to have a young, energetic coach come in then.
without a doubt.
Especially with this team. I mean, it's a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna have a team the next couple years, like next year that's a bunch of seniors. It's
Right.
gonna be a bunch of sophomores and juniors. Like we're gonna have young guys, get them a young coach that still has time with them, and
He can
grow
come
with
in
them.
and thrive, dude.
Oh my goodness.
I think the point of the young coach, too, is the AAU circuit and the ever-growing aspect of it. And then you're getting those academy schools like that. You got to be on the move. And I mean, those
The way that athletics, like the way that every college sport is just changed.
Yeah.
Like the way that you do it, it's fast forwarded almost 15 years. Like you can't, like Coach K's retired, Roy Williams is gone. Like you see the old guard moving out, and you can
It's
see
fast.
it's because all these people are the way they're doing things. Will Wade's on the phone 24/7. Like you can't really go. It's no bring my like lunch to work and go home and hang my hat up. It's like no, I'm on the phone for all day.
I have
Like
to
I don't
know.
have time for lunch
I have to
anymore.
make a brand,
Yes,
and I have to be
exactly.
able to talk to these kids.
The sport has changed so much.
Will
it's a
Wade
job.
Will Wade go and play paintball with the basketball team?
Right. You have to
Paul
be able to-
Mainieri can't go play paintball.
Right.
Like, you got to have somebody that can go play
Kill 'em.
paintball.
So
One paintball would kill
the whole
them, I
thing has
think.
changed. You have to be
Yeah.
able to relate to these kids because if you can't, especially with the transfer portal, they can up and leave and go somewhere that's like,
Baseball's
this
tough,
is not
man.
what I thought this was. Dude, like this place sucks. So you have to go find somewhere that you can relate to a little bit. And the last one that's happening is college football because they're so ingrained
Right.
in where they are. And I think Coach O's in a great spot in terms of the energy he brings and how
Right.
he pervades LSU and like the brand. Like he's fine, but like this older guard, you'll see the turnover.
Yeah.
Like eventually it will happen. The other shoe will drop.
Yeah.
All I can guarantee is Vitello's going to get paid because he's going to.
Yeah, no
Oh,
matter
he's got
Tennessee or
Tennessee in one hand,
LSU,
he's got
Tennessee or
LSU in the
LSU,
other.
it's big money.
What do you got, Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee's gonna give him whatever he wants.
He's only making $400,000.
Yeah, hey, they're gonna.
Double it. I mean, triple it. Put another comma in there. Is what's
Yeah,
going to happen.
he's getting
Gonna
About to get a
some
whole new
zeros.
bank
What was
account.
Paul making?
2.5. I
something.
think.
I mean, not 400,000.
No, that's what a GA makes at
Right.
LSU, dude. But y'all want to wrap this thing up and we'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, I got one last thing. Did you see the Nate Diaz fight this weekend?
No, but I know he loves to take an ass kicking. That guy
Dude.
can't not get knocked out.
He loves has he ever fought not being bloody?
He's just
I don't think so.
he's an easy bleeder.
He's not one of those runaway guys. Like,
No.
you see Floyd Mayweather in boxing. Like
Yeah.
he's playing defense the whole time. You're not touching him, and then he'll sneak one in. Nate Diaz in UFC is just, I'm gonna take it all. Like just
Yeah, he'll
hit me,
take
please.
dude,
He likes
yeah,
it.
he's eating punches for breakfast.
Right.
Needs to go to a Suns game, Suns in 4.
Suns and 4.
So the question is, he's the most psychotic athlete out there. I think Nate Diaz. He's got a couple screws loose.
I think you have to if you're a UFC fighter,
Yeah.
but to go in there with the
100%.
but to go in there with the intention like I want him to hit me. That's what he
I can't
wants.
think of a crazier
He eats him,
athlete.
dude, and he just goes. That's like I don't care.
I don't think that even in UFC, I don't think there's anyone like that.
That gets hit that much.
Nobody that invites it. Like doesn't even try to defend it. Just wears it.
Hops in there every time.
Crazy.
They made him go 5 rounds. He's like, yeah, but the longer you want to make the fight, I'll do it. It's like, okay, you're
5?
You're
Want to go
rude.
another 5?
Yeah, I'm ready to
I
go
just
again.
warmed up.
That's bizarre to me.
All right. We'll come back tomorrow, Tuesday, 7 to
this
9 a.m.
afternoon.
Maybe this afternoon.
this
We'll see how
afternoon.
Jordy's
Sneak
meeting
one
goes.
in. Yeah, we'll see how the
Yes.
meeting goes.
It might be a party here if the
Massive
meeting
yeah.
goes the way we think it
If
will.
the meeting goes well,
Yes,
we're going to
yeah.
turn up for it.
Yeah, the afternoon show will be lit.
It's
But,
got Fox on one hand and ESPN on the other.
exactly. Yeah, we're just hitting
NBC Sports call. Busy day for us.
$1 million deals for my iPhone, dude. But we'll let y'all know if we come back. We'll hop on Twitter and let you know if Jordy comes back. If not, Tuesday, 7 to 9 a.m. YouTube, Facebook, JordyCulottaShow.com.
Twitch? Is Twitch up yet?
No, we're not.
No, we'll see. We're going to put it together.
Yeah.
We'll put it together.
Part of the business deal, dude.
Yeah, that's the later project.
Thank y'all for sticking around. We'll let you know if you come back.
Have a good Monday.
Yeah.